Hello, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Welcome to your September 2023 energetic reading. In other words, your horoscope. There are place marks for each sign, and for simplicity's sake, this is for your sun and your rising sign placement. We start the month off with 6 planets in retrograde, but Venus, the planet of love and affection, harmonious relationships, inner and aesthetic beauty, attraction, romance, and friendship, goes direct at 12 degrees of your fellow fire sign Leo on September 3rd. So let's get this party started, Aries. Aries is always the one who wants to start the party, and you're pretty good at it. And this month does start off feeling kind of like a party for you, Aries. On Saturday, the 2nd of September, the moon at 12 degrees of Aries perfectly trines Venus at 12 degrees of Leo. And this Venus at 12 degrees of Leo is really marinating there because it's retrograde at 12 degrees and then it stations direct and then it moves forward. So it's at that 12 degree harmonious trine with moon for a little bit longer than it usually would be. So, and this trine also is very much a harmonious aspect when Venus is involved. Because as I said earlier, it's the planet of love and affection, harmony, aesthetic harmony, inner harmony, relationship harmony. And a trine is the most, in my personal opinion, harmonious aspect you can have between two planets. So you are very likely to, on Saturday, when there's this trine with Venus and the moon, to experience more of a emotional connection with people you might not normally feel this connection with. And finally, Venus moves direct on September 3rd, still at 12 degrees of Leo. And this is especially beautiful because Aries rising, this direct motion of Venus trine the moon is happening in your 5th house of romance, love, pleasure. It's also the house of hobbies and entertainment. It's the house of what brings you joy. It's the house of bringing happiness to your inner child. It's also the house of where you might bring happiness to the children in your life. So having Venus in this house trining the moon in your sign, trining is the most beautiful aspect. This may even bring some joy and peace to your own inner child. I know, Aries, you were like, oh, I thought you were going to tell me about this great dance party I was going to go to. When you said party time, Venus, yeah, I was going to go to this party with loud music and spotlights. Okay, well, Aries, if that makes your inner child happy, then that's what you're going to do. I mean, whatever. But this really is just a pleasant aspect, so don't let it go without doing something that you love. Take time on Saturday, Aries, to enjoy this transit. Leo should also take time. I don't know if I'm going to say this in their part of the horoscope, so if you're a Leo and you're watching this, you also take time. And Sagittarius, but especially Aries. And Aries, Venus will be in your 5th house for the remainder of the month, so enjoy it the whole month. Okay, now Mercury is in retrograde until the 15th, and that may create some impatience, some frustration. Aries, your favorite word is not patience, but it does finally go direct on the 15th. We'll talk more about that later, but on the 8th, you have the sun in Virgo trining Jupiter in Taurus, another harmonious aspect. And these for especially Aries rising, these are potentially very positive placements for you, but there is a 90 degree angle, I'm sorry, English is my second language, between your Aries sun and Virgo and Capricorn. So your fire energy does square with this earth energy. So it's not it's not an easy aspect like the trine, but it's not necessarily a bad one. It can actually be an opportunity for growth. So the sun is in your 6th house, which is the house of practicality and work relationships. It's also the house of body maintenance and health. And then Jupiter is in Taurus, also squaring your Aries sun. That's the planet of expansion, optimism, luck, financial gain, and that's in your 2nd house. Your 2nd house of finances and self-worth. Okay, so this is a potentially very beneficial placement for you, Aries, as long as you can manage that square energy, and I'll talk more about that in a second. But there's a side note here. I mean, to me, I'm a Pisces and I'm all into like evolutionary and spiritual astrology, and the fact that there's a house that is both about self-worth and finances, that seems so superficial to me, but I think they're talking more about self-worth on like the 3D level, you know, which as growing humans, we all work through that in this life. Okay. But so that's when we're talking about like your rising sign and your houses and your, you know, the 1st house, 2nd house, we are really talking about like the 3D manifestation. We're not really talking about the deeper spiritual level of things. It might seem more complicated and more like, ooh, very specific, but that's why it's the 3D. It's specific because it's in the conscious realm, and the conscious realm is like straightforward and specific, but it's not necessarily about our spiritual evolution.